Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Markets on Monday, the 6th of July. Relatively quiet news flow morning so far. Just looking back on last week in what was a holiday shortened week because of the US Independence Day holiday on Friday. What did we see? Well, we saw asset markets continue to perform well, and by that I mean we saw equity markets over the course of the week rise and continue with their positive momentum. In the US, we saw the Nasdaq up about 4.6% for the week. That took it to a new all-time high. So healthcare, technology areas continuing to lead the market in the recent weeks. Then if we look at bond markets, sovereign bond markets, there wasn't a lot happened last week. And in a similar way, in the corporate bond space, we just saw a bit of positive sentiment spill over from what we were seeing in the equity markets. Again, the week did speak to some of the themes that we've been touching on, as we did see the market return to focus at the beginning of the week on the rising COVID-19 infection rates and the localized lockdowns that we saw in a number of US states. And indeed, that's something that we continue to see. We continue to see that in other geographic locations if we think about Australia and Melbourne at the moment as well. So I think that's something that we're going to live with. Why does the market focus on it? Because it impacts economic activity and slows down the reopening of economies. Also over the course of the week, just looking at currency markets, not a lot of change. But what did we see? We saw the US dollar continue or to return to its weakening trend relative to a broad basket of other currencies. It had strengthened over the past couple of weeks, so a bit of weakness in the US dollar last week. Turning to the week ahead, what have we got there? Well, we've got our usual raft of economic data, some of that backward looking and probably not that informative. That which is survey based and forward looking, more useful as we try and get a sense of how economies are moving through the reopening phase. So that's something that we'll report on as we go through the week. In terms of political rhetoric and the discussions there, we've the ongoing Brexit discussions between the UK and the EU. That'll drive news flow. I don't think we hear anything from that at all at this point in time. And then just in the EU, we have the finance ministers starting a meeting. And that I think is important just to highlight that, because clearly they'll be discussing the EU budget, but they'll also be discussing the potential support package that is on the table at this point in time. And then just on economics in the US over the weekend, we saw the Paycheck Loan Program be extended. So that was the program that was supporting US businesses. That program was due to expire, and I think indeed it did expire for a 24-hour period, but that's been re-signed through, and that will be in effect for another month. Just looking at asset markets in Asia overnight, what can we see there? We've seen a strong performance from equity markets, in particular that in China, where we have the CSI up over 4%. Not a lot that I can gather around what's driving that, other than there seems to be some positive commentary in the local press in China. And that is feeding through into futures markets for both the US and Europe, which at this point in time are pointing to more positive opens. That's it for today. Please join me and the team through the rest of the week. We look forward to speaking to you then. Thank you.